Hey there, sheepdogs. Welcome to the Sheepdogs Union. Today I want to talk about real quick why I choose a revolver over an automatic. And there's a lot of other opinions out there. This is just mine. I already addressed some of this in a previous video on priorities. Nobody saw it, but if you go back and watch it, there's more elaborate discussion of it. But the main thing is that, you know, any weapon you choose is going to have drawbacks. You can't have everything you want. You know, we'd all like to have a gun that you know holds 100 rounds, is as, you know, powerful as a 50 BMG, as accurate as an AR, and fits in your pocket. You know, but that doesn't exist. So the question is, what do you really need to be prepared for? And not only, you know, what weapon prepares you for that better, but how big of a gap do you leave in given situations for each weapon? So basically it boils down to, you know, there's the progression goes from, you know, single attacker up close to, you know, single attacker at some distance to multiple attackers engaging at a distance. So let's play out those three scenarios. So in the scenario of multiple attackers engaging at a distance, obviously you're looking at multiple targets, you're looking at moving targets, you're looking at a lot of rounds fired, basically. And so in that situation, capacity is going to become pretty significant. But then the question is, okay, let's say, you know, we say obviously high capacity automatic is preferable in that situation. How far behind the 8 ball are we if we're in that situation with a revolver compared to Glock 19 or similar? I recommend something other than a Glock, but actually something other than a striker fired mechanism. That's another video. So how far behind the 8 ball are we with our little 5-shot revolver? Well, I see a lot of competition shooters doing these drills where they're standing in one place and firing at 3-4 different targets, firing 8-9 rounds at a time, and thinking that that's how a gunfight's going to go. That's not how a gunfight's going to go. You're not going to stand your ground and pick off multiple targets. You're going to fire some number of rounds, probably 2 or 3, at your first target. Then the other targets are going to return fire, at which point you need to be running for cover. So the question isn't, are there enough bullets in the gun to finish the fight? The question is, are there enough bullets in the gun to get me to a place that's safe to reload? And I think the answer is yes with 5 rounds. 5 rounds is not enough to end the fight when you've got multiple attackers, but it is enough to scatter them a little bit, get them off balance so that you can now run for cover, which you're going to need anyways, because it's going to take you enough time to fire those additional rounds that standing your ground and just blasting away is not a good strategy. So you're wanting to run for cover anyways, and you know the revolver just means that that's a higher priority than it would be if you had the automatic. So again, and I recommend, I don't carry a 5-shot gun with no reloads. I carry lots of reloads for that reason, because, you know, yes, if all I had was 5 rounds, I'd be pretty much out of luck in that situation. But if I've got 2 speed loaders and a speed strip, I can run to cover, reload, or top off, which is another advantage of the revolver. You can top off. You don't have to do a complete reload. And get back in that fight. And I'm you know, admittedly behind the 8 ball in that situation, but not as far back as most people would think, and not as far back as you'd get from the impression of from a lot of competition scenarios where they're just blasting away at multiple targets. Then you have single attacker at a distance. So revolver versus automatic, it's a draw. It depends on which one you personally shoot better. I personally shoot my revolver better. I think that has more to do with the sights than anything. My revolver has blacked out rear sight and a dot on the front sight, and that, for me, that sight works the best. I don't like 3-dot sights because there's too much going on and it's distracting, actually, in my experience. So, but anyways, it comes down to, in that situation, it's a draw. Whichever one you shoot better. But then when we start getting into contact distance engagements, people will tell you that your automatic is 100% reliable, that it's just as reliable as a revolver at the shooting range. Yes, so mean time between failures of standing at the shooting range going bang, 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 bang. Yeah, between a revolver and automatic, you're still, that number is so high you don't need to worry about it in both situations. And I'll give the automatic the advantage in dirty, grimy situations. So if you're slogging through mud and grit, an automatic's going to be better for you because there's fewer moving parts to get jammed up in an automatic. But what we're going to get to is that those moving parts, if they jam up, is a bigger problem. So, with the automatic, anytime you have any kind of obstruction in the movement of the slide, or you don't have a good grip and it's bouncing around in your hand too much, limp wristing, you're going to get a malfunction. Now that's going to take 2 hands to clear it. It's going to take 2 hands to clear it. You can train racking it on your belt or whatever. You're not going to do that when you're wrestling with somebody. Okay? If your gun doesn't go bang and you're wrestling with somebody, you now are armed with a club. If you have an automatic. A revolver doesn't have that problem. It's a clockwork mechanism. It will go bang the second time, no matter what. As long as the mechanism doesn't jam up to the point where you can't pull the trigger, it will go bang the next time. So you can fire it from inside your pocket if you're wrestling with somebody and you can get your hand on your gun, but you can't necessarily get it out into a shooting position. You can slide that pocket holster off with your finger and get your finger on that trigger and shoot from inside your pocket and burn your leg, but the gun will work. You can shoot from awkward positions. You can shoot from, you don't have to worry about if the other guy gets their hand on your gun. You don't have to worry about their clothes getting wrapped around things. It's going to go bang no matter what. And so in that situation, between a revolver and automatic, the revolver wins a lot. Because, excuse me. The other issue with the automatic in that situation is it won't fire if you push on the barrel. 90% of automatic handguns won't work if you push on the slide. They're recoil operated, so you push on that mechanism at all and it goes out of battery and it doesn't fire. There's a few exceptions that are gas operated or blowback that may still function. I think some have locking features of some sort, but most handguns that are out there, push on that muzzle, it doesn't go bang. And so again, that's just one more thing that if you have to be aware of if you want it to go bang the first time, and then you also have to be aware of the whole space around it if you want it to go bang a second time. And that's something that's going to be hard to do if you're wrestling with somebody who's intent on killing you. The revolver eliminates that complexity. And so I think that gives the revolver a distinct advantage in that situation. And in my opinion, my personal opinion, is that the advantage of a revolver in a close combat situation, in a hand-to-hand situation, is bigger than the advantage of an automatic in a multiple attacker situation. Not to mention that you're probably more likely to be in a hand-to-hand situation than you are in a multiple armed attacker situation, because the statistics indicate that most of the kind of crimes that are stopped by concealed carriers are stopping people who have something other than a gun. Guns are expensive. Felons are prohibited from owning guns. Most crimes are committed by broke felons. So there's a high probability that when you're talking about a mugging, you're talking about that kind of thing, they're going to be armed with a knife or a baseball bat or something like that, and they're going to be trying to get in close, and you're going to be trying to get distance. And with the revolver, you don't have to worry about the distance. You just get your hand on it and go. And so I think the scenario in which the revolver has the advantage is more likely, and the advantage that the revolver has in that scenario is bigger than the advantage that the automatic has in the multiple attackers scenario. So that's why I choose to carry a revolver. I don't think you're crazy if you don't, but I think a lot of people make the choice to go with an automatic for inadequately thought out reasons. And the assumption that you need more capacity, that capacity is king. A lot of that comes from police actions. And again, we're not police. We're not, our job is not to catch the bad guy. So we're not going to be starting fights with groups of bad guys. We're not going to be chasing a fleeing bad guy, or these are the types of situations where people end up discharging, 15, 20 rounds in an engagement. We shouldn't be doing that. So I think a lot of it is also bias of, revolvers are old technology, which they are. I carry the double action revolver with a swing out cylinder. It was first produced in the 1890s. No, and 1889. So, we're talking almost we were talking 130 years of or 120-year-old technology. But I mean, 120-year-old technology that still works. You talk to those people who say, revolvers are obsolete. And you ask, well, do you carry a fighting knife? Yeah. Well, that's 5,000-year-old technology. What are you saying? That's not outdated, but the revolver is. But anyway, that if you do insist on carrying automatic, I do recommend that you also have a fixed blade knife for that reason, because you're going to get into that hand-to-hand situation. You're better off with a knife in a hand-to-hand situation than you are with an automatic. That's my opinion. And if I carried an automatic, I would also carry a fixed blade knife. So that's my opinion on why to choose a revolver for civilian concealed carry, because it's more likely to serve you better. You're more likely to get into the situation where the revolver serves you better than you are to get into the situation where the automatic serves you better. Opposite is true for police. So if you're a cop and you're listening to this, go ahead and keep your big automatic and maybe carry a revolver as a backup gun. But for civilian concealed carry, I think the revolver is an obvious choice and really the best choice, even though it's old fashioned and it's not sexy, but it works and it's more effective, it's more reliable, and there's a number of other advantages to a revolver, to a double action system. It's a lot easier to do dry fire practice, so you become a better marksman. Again, you get that advantage with a double action automatic as well. So I'm not gonna say that that's only revolvers, but a double action gun gives you the option to do a lot of dry fire practice, which makes you a better shot. Granted, you have to do that because it's harder to shoot a double action well if you don't do the dry fire practice, but it's easier to do the dry fire practice. So I think it's an advantage. And then Yeah, that was the other that was the other advantage. So with that, this video is going a little long, so we'll see you later. And always remember to be ready to be somebody else's miracle. See you later.